Am I the a-hole do not want a service dog to participate in my wedding? Throwaway. I'm 28F and getting married in the spring. I've asked one of my best friends to be one of my bridesmaids. She has a service dog for PTSD. I respect her dog and glad she has it in her life. My fiancé and I don't particularly care for dogs, and we've decided we don't want her service dog in our photos or in the ceremony. When I asked her, she got excited and immediately said her dog could wear something to match the rest of the bridesmaids. That's when I explained that the dog could come to the wedding, but wouldn't be an active participant in the day. We don't want it in photos or in the ceremony. It could go to photos, but not be in them. It'll be off to the side for the 10 to 15-minute ceremony. In preliminary discussions with our photographer, we've brought this up. She did not take it well. Called me an a-hole and ableist, and it was not a constructive conversation after the ask. She hasn't accepted my offer to be a bridesmaid, but also hasn't declined formally. Am I the a-hole? I'm probably going to get downvoted to hell, but I have a service dog. I was also MOH in my BFF's wedding. My service dog was sat in the front row with her family during the ceremony and wasn't included in the formal pictures. It wasn't a constant thing. It was 15 minutes here and 5 minutes there. I could still see my dog and she could see me. She still alerted just fine when I was feeling overwhelmed. It's not a huge ask to not have the dog be part of the ceremony. Keep the dog in the front row and off to the side during formal pics. Bride needs to decide if she's willing to take the chance that there will be a meltdown because her PTSD may be triggered. Friend needs to decide the same. Not the a-hole. You said you're okay with your friend having the dog at the wedding, just did not want the dog to be an active participant in the wedding ceremony and photos. I feel like everyone voting you are the a-hole did not read the post fully and assumed the bride does not want the bridesmaid to bring the dog at all. And that is clearly not true. The bride says the dog at the wedding to the side is fine, but to be an active participant in the wedding ceremony and the photos is not. The bride doesn't want the dog on the photo. So why does she need to have photos with the dog to placate her friend? It's not her friend's wedding, and it's not the friend who is paying for the photos either. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she wasn't always the chosen one? Before my brothers and I were born, my mom had a child with an old boyfriend, Penny. Her boyfriend/Penny's bio dad didn't stick around. My mom then met my dad when Penny was 3 and they got married. My dad adopted Penny. My mom then went on to have me and my brothers with our dad. Growing up, Penny was always the apple of my dad's eye. He gave us all attention, but he always went out of his way to make it equal. Around the time she entered her teens, Penny would make the joke, "Dad was stuck with you guys, but he chose me," or refer to herself as the chosen one. My brothers and parents always thought it was hilarious. I thought it was obnoxious. If our brothers and I were ever discussing what traits we got/didn't get from Dad, Penny would break in with, "I didn't get anything from him except his last name, because I'm the chosen one." Now, we're all adults, and Penny still trots that out from time to time. Recently, it came up when my siblings and I were out with our partners for drinks. One of my brothers has a newish girlfriend, so she wasn't aware of Penny's store. Penny was telling it, shoving in that she's the chosen one. I admit I was a little drunk and I said, "Chosen by our dad." "But you weren't chosen by your first dad, huh?" Penny got a hurt look on her face. My brothers told me that was uncalled for. Even the new girlfriend was looking at me like I was a jerk. I said this story is just getting old. We've all heard it. And it's a little ridiculous. My boyfriend ended up calling us an Uber and getting me out of there. Well, of course word's gotten back to our parents and they're pissed at me, saying I was rude. I said Penny was just being obnoxious. Am I the a-hole? JFC, yeah, obviously you are the a-hole. Penny's joke might be annoying, but it's obvious she's overcompensating because being abandoned would cause such a big insecurity. If you had a legitimate issue, you could have discussed it privately, not drop a nuke in the middle of a family dinner. Info, are you really all adults? Because an actual adult should know how to use their big girl words when something is bothering them, and you don't seem to. Instead, you had someone poking you with a stick and you hurled a nuclear bomb back. Disproportionate response, especially to everyone there for whom this looked like going from 0 to 60 in 0 seconds. Of course, she got a hurt look on her face. It's because you actively tried to hurt her and succeeded. You are the a-hole. Yes, I absolutely can see how her shtick would get annoying, even though it's almost assuredly something she built to cover up her insecurity at being your collective dad's only non-bio child. But a reasonable approach would have been to have a chat with her on the side and say something like, "You're our family. You will always be a part of my family, but honestly, it hurts me when you say that. I know the others don't mind, but it hurts me, so I would appreciate it if you could quit saying that in front of me. She's your sister. Hopefully she loves you and doesn't want to hurt you, so she'd accept that and back off. Or maybe she wouldn't, and you two are both crappy sisters. But at least if you tried a grown-up conversation first, you wouldn't be taught and could take some moral high ground." Eesh. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my mother-in-law ill-mannered for going through my suitcase and criticizing my bikini? Hi, my husband and I got married in June, and we're about to board the plane to our honeymoon. We've been with each other for almost a year and a half. Last night, my in-laws were at our place to wish us goodbye before we went for our honeymoon. They live half an hour away. She was asking me to put some vitamin tablets as well and offered to put in my suitcase. This is where it may have been my fault. First I said, "Thanks, I'll put it." She said it's okay, she can put it. And I said, "Okay, you can put it in the inner zipper." Turns out she actually went through the clothes and she came across a fairly revealing bikini I had bought for this occasion. She asked me if I was really planning on taking this along. I kind of lost my cool because I was embarrassed and said, "Please don't go through our private stuff, it's rude and ill-mannered." She then said a honeymoon doesn't have to mean that I wear revealing clothes on public beaches. We're Muslim, and she's a bit more conservative, I guess. I said our relationship and our honeymoon is our own and not for her to comment on. It might also be relevant to mention that my husband and I never told our families that we were in a physical relationship while we were seeing each other before our marriage. Just that we were meeting up. My mom knows, though. My dad doesn't, or at least I don't think so. Don't think either of us know. So my point is my mother-in-law has a misplaced idea of mine and my husband's relationship. She was very affronted by what I said and said I'm the one who didn't have manners, that all she wanted to do was help. My husband talked to her in private and tried to explain that I felt violated even if she meant well. The mood had soured, and my in-laws wished us a good trip and left soon after. My husband said I shouldn't have let her near the suitcase at all if this was the case, and that while he had spoken to her about boundaries, I shouldn't have reacted without thinking. We decided to not let this affect our honeymoon, and we didn't talk about it again. But it was just on my mind right now. While he left to get us something to eat, I thought I'd quickly, as if I was stuck, and if so, maybe I'll admit it, to get our honeymoon off to a clean start. Edit. Thanks a lot for all the comments and a lot of the advice too. We're here now, so I didn't get the chance to read all the comments, but the ones I read were heartening. I don't think I'll be bringing it up again with him, not here at least. But the next time we'll interact with her, I'll talk to him in advance about the boundaries we need to establish with his parents. To address some questions, we live in Canada. We don't live with my in-laws, we have our own place. Also, I got some DMS saying what we did before marriage was sinful and harem. We know. We're bad Muslims perhaps, not hypocrites. I kind of lost my cool because I was embarrassed and said, "Please don't go through our private stuff, it's rude and ill-mannered." My husband said I shouldn't have let her near the suitcase at all if this was the case, and that while he had spoken to her about boundaries, I shouldn't have reacted without thinking. Husband, answer me this. If you believe what I said to your mother in the moment was so very wrong, if it was reacting without thinking, then tell me. What should I have said or done in the moment to a person rummaging through my clothes without permission that would have been okay with you? Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Mother-in-law set you up. She could have easily handed you the vitamins, but she had to put them in your suitcase. She was going into this looking for dirt. Your mother-in-law does have a misplaced idea of you and your husband's relationship. She thinks she's part of it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling a coworker to read the room when he pointed out the free pizza while I was eating my own packed lunch? Yesterday at my workplace, there was a group meeting set during the noon. As the meeting was long, my workplace decided to host a free lunch period, basically pizza and other food. This was mentioned beforehand in an email sent to everyone. Due to various personal and family-related reasons, I take my own packed lunch to work. I can't see myself eating both my lunch and the free food provided, as that would be impossible. Plus, I don't want to waste my own lunch. After the first half of the meeting, we had lunch in the room itself. I opened up my own bag while a lot of other people went to get the pizza. After like a few minutes, one coworker whom I've never spoken to before as I've only started 3 weeks ago came up to me and said something like, "Hey, there's free pizza if you want it." This is where I got a little annoyed because one, the pizza boxes were literally across the room. Obviously they were there. And two, I was very clearly eating my own lunch, which I thought made it clear that I decided to forego the free work-provided lunch. So I told him something along the lines, "No thanks, I had my own lunch, as you can see. That means I'm not going for the free pizza." He said okay and then left. Later after work, I told my parents about this when they asked me about what we did at work, and they said I was being rude by saying I could have left it at "no thanks." Granted, I was a bit annoyed, but I thought my simple explanation to my coworker was diplomatic and further clarified what was going on. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. Hey there, thanks to everyone for giving their insight and pointing out what I did was wrong. I've learned my lesson well. I was very much the a-hole in this scenario. I failed to understand at the moment why saying something like, "I have my own lunch," as you can see, is inherently rude, and now I know that was not acceptable at all. Though I didn't understand the social nuance of this interaction at first due to my Asperger's, that is by no means any excuse for my actions, and I am still responsible for what I say. Next week, I plan on speaking to the coworker the next chance I get and apologizing to him for my actions and words. He definitely did not deserve to be treated that way by me. Thanks again to everyone for their input. I really do appreciate it. I may update on what happens and tie everything up on a good note at work. You are the a-hole. Your coworker did read the room. He just didn't read your mind and you got upset about it. Update. After thinking about my behavior towards my coworker and getting feedback from the comments, I realized that I indeed was very much being in butt to my coworker. At the time, I felt he was belittling me, but I realized this is not the case upon retrospect. My response to him was not at all diplomatic. In particular, I should not have said something like, "No thanks, I already have lunch," as you can see. But just saying, "No thanks, I already have lunch" was good enough and the polite version. So because of this, I made up my mind to apologize to him the next time I found him. Luckily today, I found him randomly in the hallway. I went up to him and said I was sorry for being inadvertently rude to him and that I took full accountability for it. That I was aware that he was making sure I, a new employee, was feeling welcome, and I didn't initially realize that I came off as incredibly rude. He took it very well and told me, "Don't apologize for it," and that he understood. Although there was a little hitch where he was a bit surprised when I told him I was a new employee at the time of the first post. I was only 3 weeks in, so yes, I was a new employee. He said something along the lines of, "Didn't you join in June as the adjunct?" I remember that, to which I said no. I started here 3 weeks ago and I work in an entirely different position. We eventually figured out it was just a minor mix-up and we both laughed it off. In retrospect, I realize it's possible maybe I wasn't too specific enough about the lunchtime incident and he may have been still thinking about a different event, but I was a bit nervous at the time and didn't think that. In any case, I'm glad I was able to end things on a good note and learning a bit more about what real diplomatic workplace relations look like. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving class early after being exposed to my allergen? Today was my first day of the semester and my professor gave everyone marzipan, which is a Mexican peanut candy. I have a severe allergy to peanuts and everyone was eating it in class and crumbs were getting everywhere and the smell of peanuts was strong. After the class ate the candy, we did a group activity where we had to put post-it notes on the wall and write someone we look up to, but everyone was touching all the markers and my contamination OCD kicked in. I felt uncomfortable and trapped, so I asked to leave about 15 minutes early after explaining my allergy and my professor seemed offended and annoyed by that. I understand some people are uneducated about food allergies and how serious they are, so I get why he was a bit confused. Was I just letting my health anxiety get to me or was that justified? Edit. I am a third-year college student and I am aware I do not have to ask permission to leave, but I always do during the first week since it is all important information about the class and I don't want to miss anything. Not the a-hole. I would report it to the school as well. They need to be aware of your allergy and ensure all your teachers know about it too. If there is a problem, then they may be liable, so we'll definitely want to know so they can put in safeguarding measures. This isn't just some kind of dislike of peanuts, it's a genuine risk to your health. Are you the a-hole for escaping from a harmful situation? Not the a-hole professor should know better. Peanuts are one of the most common allergens. Next story. Am I the a-hole for stealing back Pokemon cards my fiance's nephews took and possibly taking extras? Hello all, I'm keeping this off my main as my family members know my act and I don't want them asking me about it just yet. To set the background, I'm 29F, my fiancé is 31M, and I have 3 children 8F, 7F, 5M. Sometime last year, my daughter Summer, the 8F, started collecting Pokemon cards that her bio dad would gift her during visitation. I haven't kept up with the fandom as I aged but collected coins as a kid and loved the idea of helping my daughter grow her collection. I have also supplemented the collection from lucky Goodwill finds. It is about 5 binders worth of cards, with cards from between 1995 to 2018 generally, and some are very rare. My sister-in-law asked my fiancé if we could babysit her 2 sons Peter 8M and Paul 7M while out of town for the weekend as she has to pick up her husband's nephew for something. I was not keen on this for a few reasons, being Peter has to attend an alternative school for anger issues and outbursts, and though they have become less frequent, I wouldn't know how to handle it if something happens. Peter has had issues in the past with stealing money from my fiancé and I when we would leave cash out in our room. His mom would get defensive about it, but $10 was never something I'd die on a hill for, so I'd usually drop it. Peter has also tried stealing my daughter's Pokemon cards in the past or my DBZ cards. I took them back, but it blemished my relationship with my sister-in-law a tad. Despite all this, I hoped the weekend could go smoothly as she needed the help, so me and fiancé agreed. However, last night while I was at work, Summer called me and asked if she could give her Pokemon cards to Peter. I could hear Peter whispering in the background. I was very clear in saying no because I couldn't advise if there would be a fair trade or if he would take the more valuable cards. Later, I asked my daughter if she really wanted to give him the cards, and she said no. This morning, while tidying my daughter's room, I saw all the Pokemon binders out. I had a bad feeling, opened them up, and discovered half the collection missing. The binders were full, but now there were empty pages and scattered cards missing. I was pissed. I went to Peter's backpack and found some of my DBZ cards, my other daughter's full rock collection, and a massive plastic bag with a bunch of Pokemon cards dumped in. I took everything back and sorted my daughter's cards from Peter's, though I was just going by the cards' print dates as Peter only had cards from 2022 and beyond, so I thought. I put the sorted cards in a lunchbox. I told my fiancé at the time this, but Peter and Paul have noticed their card stash is much lighter and started whining and saying that their aunt gifted them some older cards that are missing. I'm sick and tired of them thinking they can just steal whatever they want from our house. Am I the a-hole for not giving them any cards back, even if some are actually theirs? I'm worried they'll complain to my sister-in-law. Not the a-hole. Honestly, the petty in me says if you accidentally had a few of his cards, it's karma for being a little terrorist. If he complains to his mom, I hope she lets him know these are the consequences of being that way, and hope he learns a lesson. If mom comes at you instead, it sounds like a perfect segue to the conversation regarding no future babysitting. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.